So, how did this come together, Kristen? When did you come up with the idea?
Well, I co-wrote it with my friend Annie Momolo, and we had been talking about like maybe writing something, and then this opportunity came from Judd, and I guess the original tiny idea was like what it's really like to be a part of a wedding and showing the female friendships and the dynamic that happens with that, the dynamics that happen with that. And I don't know, we just wanted to write a funny story with good parts for women, and I don't know, it just kind of came from there. Our original draft was like 4.5 years ago, so it's evolved from different things.
And Maya, what did you think about the script when you read it?
It was so funny to me, and the luxury of knowing Kristen's voice when I read it made it even funnier, because it's so nice to hear somebody's voice within that, so you can kind of hear it playing out in your head. And I love her sense of humor, and it's the first time I'd read anything that she'd written with Annie, and it had its own personal stamp, and it looked really fun to play. And that's the most exciting thing, is knowing that you're going to be a part of something that you think is really funny. So you're excited to go to work, you're excited to get involved, and I loved all the characters. I really like one of those visual and vivid characters to me was Helen when I read it. And she used to float at one point, and she was always wearing beige, and it's really funny. She just has a really just off-center but subtle voice that just kind of it just makes me laugh.
You play friends in the movie, but you're both friends in true life, right?
We're blood sisters. We're not, but we you know,
we're thinking about it.
We're thinking about it.
We just don't want to cut ourselves.
Yeah, I'm not into that. Yeah, we had an amazing experience working together at SNL, and I think you bond very quickly in a place that's, where you're together all the time.
And it's challenging, and
yeah.
I think when you go through that with people, you do feel like you've been in a war with them in some way.
A comedy war.
Comedy war.
And this project brought us closer together, and it's nice to know that you know somebody well, and you're going into this with them. There's such an enormous amount of trust that's involved too. Trust. Sounds so serious. But it's also just fun. It's fun and knowing
comedy is about trust.
Trust and laughter. Trust plus laughter equals comedy. Yuck.
Let's talk a bit about your characters, at least how you see them. How do you see Annie and how do you see Lillian?
Annie is definitely flawed, and I would say she's just stuck. I think she feels like maybe the bad things in her life have caused her to have like a little bit of a wall, and she's kind of afraid to move forward, and therefore she has kind of low self-esteem, maybe a little bit, when it comes to boys in her life.
Yes.
And I think the most important thing in her life, and what makes her feel like a good whole person, is her friendship. And so I think when that gets, sort of taken away, she freaks out, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think their friendship is the most reliable thing for them, and I think this is a new step for both of them, that Lillian has entered this new relationship where she's not with Annie all the time, and it has taken her away from those times that they get together and really share what's really going on and are there for each other. And that happens in life. You sometimes, oh, there goes my chair. I'm breaking everything now. Sometimes you go in one direction and your best friend may not go with you, or you grow in some way and you sort of expect these relationships to grow as well, and sometimes they don't, and it can be incredibly frustrating from both sides. I've certainly been on both sides of that. But Lillian and Annie really love each other, and I love that that's so much of the heart of the story, because it's something that you don't always see, but I know that I've personally experienced. A lot of people have.
I wanted to ask you about the four actresses that played the other four bridesmaids. I think you all formed such a funny team. Rose, Melissa, Ellie, and Wendi. I mean, what was it like, all of you in set? What were they like?
Oh my God. Well, they're tremendous. I mean, they're so funny, and I had the pleasure of working with and knowing Melissa beforehand at the Groundlings, and Wendi a little bit. You much more so than me, but I was such a fan of Wendy's, and
we got so lucky.
We got so lucky. Like, the days where we were all together, everyone was so
It was the
happy.
best. I know. We'd look on the call sheet and be like, oh my gosh, we're all here tomorrow.
It was fun.
I know. It's real cheesy, but it's true.
Plus, you know, we had hung out a lot in rehearsals, and so we got to know each other's characters for a while, and then you start looking forward to what that character is going to say next, because we all became sort of, you know, enamored of each other's characters. Really, it was a good time.
How much improvising went on, Kristen?
We did a lot of improvising. I mean, we did a lot of rehearsals beforehand, like she was saying, and that was really just improvising scenes that weren't in the movie, just to kind of get our characters straight and how our characters would interact with the other characters and what they would have in common. And so when we shot the movie, it was kind of the best of both worlds. We shot the script, we shot versions of the script, we let the actors just improvise whatever they want, just drop the script. We had people handing in lines, you know, off camera, like, here's some stuff, if you want to say any of these, great. I mean, there was no pressure for anyone to, you know, say something they didn't want to say, and everyone just got to do their thing, which was great because they're all amazing improvisers.
You enjoyed that aspect also, didn't you?
I loved it. It's such a luxury to get to work that way and to try it so many different ways. And I loved having the input of somebody saying, okay, now try this, let's try that, or remember that thing you did in rehearsal, or, you know, because all this stuff came from the original script, and then we would talk about it and get to know the characters more. So, and sometimes, I mean, I surprised myself in things that I'd forgotten I'd said, and then I saw the movie and oh yeah, I forgot we did that. That was really fun. And there's some genuine laughter in some scenes too, because we were really hearing things for the first time.
Which brings me to Paul. What do you think he brought to the movie as a director?
Well, he's such
A lot.
He's such a supporter and champion of everyone. He's
Yeah.
so positive and, you know, thinks the world of all of the actors, and comes from a writing and performing background as well. And
It wouldn't have been this movie without him, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And then you have, because you're also a producer and writer in the movie, how involved was John?
Very. He was very involved. He was on set a lot. He was instrumental in the writing process. I mean, every time Annie and I did a draft, we would send it to him, and he would give us notes, and then Paul would give us notes, and they had a lot of ideas that are in the film, and it was very collaborative.
This is not really a movie for women. I thought it was hilarious. I think men all over the world are going to have a big laugh with this.
Yay!
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
We hope so. Yes, it was written for all to enjoy.
men, women, children, dogs,
Animals, ghosts.
and ghosts.
And you have two great enemies. I mean, John
Yes,
and
we
Chris, can you talk
do.
about them?
Oh my gosh, I love them both. We got so lucky. I don't know, they're both dreamy in very different ways in this movie.
Yeah, that is true. They would combine to like
be good.
the best parts of
Yeah.
both of them would be great.
We got so lucky. John, that part was a part that we were like, okay, how are we gonna cast this? This person has to be so awful, but funny, yet super charming and good looking, yet very douchey. And he's such a funny guy, and he's so handsome that it was like, oh, what about John Hamm? And oh my gosh, when he said yes, it was amazing. And then Chris O'Dowd is just a dream. As soon as he came in, we were like,
Lovely.
yes, please. He's amazing.